What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update and third stimulus package update. More changes are on the horizon on the third stimulus check bill. They have now implemented brand new changes literally here within the last hour or two. The information on the stimulus checks, the stimulus package, as they're voting on it, and it's in the Senate right now. And changes are literally happening by the hour. I can't even say by the day because changes are happening by the hour as they're trying to pass this bill. And I'm going to give you the latest details. There's some good changes and there's some bad changes, definitely. And some of them you might be happy with, some of them you might not like at all. I'm going to give you the latest details of everything that they're doing in Congress, in the Senate. The Senate is kind of the big one. Once the Senate decides this, it'll likely be a done deal. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates on the third stimulus check package, as well as the next stimulus package coming after this, called the Build Back Better package that has already been announced, as well as after they pass this third one, we'll probably see a lot of movement on the $10,000 or more of student loan forgiveness. They have included a provision in this bill that says that any student loans that get forgiven in the next 5 years will not have to pay taxes on that money. So we've seen this a lot with when there was some mortgage debt forgiven from the pandemic and some of that stuff in the past. Same thing with student loans, although this has never happened. Whenever debt like that is forgiven, it actually counts as taxes. So if you get $20,000 of student loans forgiven, you would actually have to pay taxes on $20,000. So maybe a couple $1,000s in there, 2 to 5,000, which is still better to pay 2 to 5,000 than to pay 20,000. But they have included a new provision in this bill that says that any student loans that are forgiven in the next 5 years will not have to pay taxes. So they're literally gearing up for student loan forgiveness. That'll happen after this package, along with possibly the Social Security raises that we've seen Biden campaign on. He's got like 3 or 4 of them, $200 per month for up to 2 years. You never know, they could make that permanent after they kind of get the first provision in there, $200 per month, SSI, SSDI that Joe Biden wants to raise. He has it literally on his website, joebiden.com, as well as 20% more for widows and widowers, 5% more for people that have been on Social Security for over 20 years, as well as a cost of living index change to the positive. We'll probably see student loan forgiveness, the Social Security changes, and the minimum wage after this bill. We actually have some brand new breaking news on the minimum wage, as well as the new changes that literally just happened in the third stimulus check package. So let's jump right into it. Don't forget to hit the like button. And here is what happened on the Senate floor just a little while ago with Senator Bernie Sanders and the Senate and the bill.
And here is the simple truth, and that is that in the richest country in the history of the world, we can no longer tolerate millions of our workers being unable to feed their families because they are working for starvation wages. And that is not what I say, although I do say it. It's what the President of the United States says, who very, very strongly supports raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and I thank him for his support. You know, when we look at the economy, people look at the stock market, they look at a whole lot of indices out there. But at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what is going on in the lives of ordinary people? And it is not acceptable to me that half of our people live in paycheck to paycheck, and millions of people are trying to get by on $9, $10, $11 an hour. And you know what? You can't do that. You can't do that in Vermont, and you can't do it in California, you can't do it in Minnesota. You can't do that. And our job is to make sure that we have an economy that works for all and not just the few, and that in order to do that, we are going to have to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. Frankly, it is disgraceful that Congress has not passed an increase in the minimum wage since 2007. Think of all the things that have transpired since then, but Congress has not raised the minimum wage since 2007. And the reality is that the minimum wage has lost over 30% of its purchasing power since 1968. minimum wage is worth a lot less now than it used to be. When we increase the minimum wage, Madam President, we will be giving over 32 million Americans a much-needed pay raise. And let's be clear, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is an enormously popular idea. More than 60% of the American people in poll after poll support raising the minimum wage. Since 1998, this is really amazing. I have some friends here who are nervous. Oh my goodness, how radical can it be? Should we raise the minimum wage? Oh my God, I'm scared of the American Restaurant Association. Well, since 1998, every time a state has had an initiative on the ballot to raise the minimum wage, it has won. In conservative states and progressive states. Put it on the ballot, it wins. Just as one example, in November, just this last November, election time, Joe Biden lost Florida. Donald Trump won Florida by 3 points. But in that same election, the people of Florida, and I say that to the two senators from Florida, 61% of the people in Florida voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Florida voted for Donald Trump and voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. 8 states over the years, 8 states, and over 40 cities have adopted laws to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's not a radical idea. And as you know, over just a few days ago, the House of Representatives did the right thing and voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. This is not a radical idea. People want it, states have done it, the House of Representatives have done it, and now it is our turn to do what the American people want.
Well, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, if you're against the minimum wage, Senator Bernie Sanders lost today. He made an amendment process in the Senate, and it did not pass for the $15 an hour minimum wage. As you can see here, on March 5th, which is today, all Senate Republicans and 7 Democrats and 1 independent senator rejected the amendment for a vote against the $15 an hour minimum wage amendment. 42 people voted yes in the Senate, and 58 of them voted against. It needed 60 votes to pass. So again, this amendment for the $15 an hour minimum wage to kind of a last-ditch effort to include it in the third stimulus check package has now failed, and it looks like there is no hope at this point to include it in the third stimulus check package. I expect that we will probably see a standalone bill after they pass the third stimulus check package bill to raise the minimum wage. But as you can see, as I've been telling you, there is not enough votes to pass this bill as a standalone bill for $15 an hour minimum wage. We literally just seen it here now fail in the Senate. So I think that we'll probably see a minimum wage compromise bill because they're going to need 60 votes. So they're going to need Republicans at $10 an hour. We have a Republican counter proposal to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $10 an hour from Republicans Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton. And they probably could get the deal done around $10 an hour. As Bernie said, it hasn't been raised since 2007. So it is kind of overdue, although a lot of people think that $15 is too high, even though we've seen Bernie Sanders say that 8 different states do have minimum wage rules set to $15 an hour, although a lot of them, such as Florida, are multi-year steps up packages. I believe Florida gets to $15 an hour by 2026. So over the course of the next 5 years, it goes up by like $1 or $2 per year every year until then. Each state would be different. Each state can set their own minimum wage higher than the federal minimum wage, which is only $7.25, but could be raised to possibly as high as 10 at this point. Okay, next up, the next big change that is literally happening as we speak here is the unemployment benefits. We've already seen several changes literally in this bill. The minimum wage has been taken out. We know that the income qualifications on the stimulus checks have been reduced. So only 75,000 and below, which is the same for that part, will get the stimulus check for a single filer, $1,400, and $1,400 for your children and adult dependents. But it will only go to 80,000 now with a reduced check for a single filer, double that for a couple. Anything over 80,000 will not be getting a check, and it seems like they're making compromises down basically because, well, for the most part, Republicans want less, Democrats want more. The compromise is coming down from the Democrats because the Democrats are basically kind of strong arming this bill through. And I don't know if they're doing this to get Joe Manchin's support, get all the Democrats' support. We know that the minimum wage didn't have enough support because we just seen the vote of 42 to 58. So it did not have nearly enough support to pass that, so they had to take that out. But they've also reduced the income qualifications for the stimulus checks, as we just mentioned, as a compromise, whether it's a compromise to Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, two Democratic senators who are threatening to vote no, or if they're trying to get some bipartisan support and show that they are compromising with the Republicans. That now brings us to our latest change, literally just happening now. And that is, it is likely that the $400 per week unemployment bonus that was supposed to be $400 per week for jobless benefits will be reduced to $300 per week now, which is what it currently is. It's currently $300 per week bonus unemployment money if you've lost your job due to the pandemic, on top of your state unemployment. President Joe Biden and Democrats wanted it to be increased to $400 per week. Remember, at one point in time last year, it was $600 per week. Well, as you can see here, Senate Democrats have agreed to a change in their $1.9 trillion relief package to reduce the additional federal unemployment insurance payment to $300 per week, but they want to extend it for another week until the end of September instead of the end of August. Now, the other thing here is that there's a proposal to also make the first $10,200 in unemployment insurance benefits not taxable. So let me explain this. It looks like it's heading in the direction it's only going to be $300 per week unemployment boost, but as a compromise for the Democrats, I should say, compromise for the Republicans is to lower the amount. Compromise for the Democrats is to extend the length of the duration to the end of September, which is the end of the fiscal year for the government, instead of the proposed what it was before, which was the end of August. They're also, the Democrats are trying to throw in there that the first $10,200, it's interesting, it's not just 10,000 on the nose. I don't know how they come up with that number. But they're proposing an interesting thing, which would actually probably make this maybe more beneficial for you than the $400 per week if you're on unemployment, would be the first $10,200 is not taxable. So let me make this clear. Stimulus checks, the $600, the $1,200, and the $1,400 are not taxable. I get a lot of people that are confused about this. The stimulus checks of $1,400 are not taxable. They're not income. Okay, they're a tax rebate, is the way it's kind of like worded in the tax bill. You don't pay taxes on your $1,400 stimulus check, but you do pay taxes on your unemployment money. Okay, because unemployment money, whether it's the bonus money or from the state money, unemployment money is considered a replacement of your income. Most of the time, it's less than what you make, but it's still a replacement of your income. So if you're getting a $300 per week and $200 per week from your state, and you're getting $500, that's taxable. Okay, that is a replacement of your income. So basically, if you used to make 1,000 a week and now you're making 500 or 600 a week, that's your income. Income is taxable. Okay, what they're doing is they're trying to propose a new amendment now because they're, quote, lowering it from $400 to $300 per week. That the first $10,200 of your unemployment money would not have any taxes at all. So this actually would be a significant stimulus check or savings for you if you're on unemployment. Basically, if you're on unemployment, you're probably at 25% taxes or less. So if you're at 25% taxes, you would save $2,500 in taxes. So basically, there'd be $2,500 less that you would pay in taxes in exchange for getting $100 less per week. So basically 25 weeks worth of $100 per week. So if you're at a 10% tax rate, you would get $1,000 less that you would pay in taxes, or $1,000 more in your tax refund when you do your taxes at the end of the year. So that would be equivalent to 10 weeks at $100 per week. So definitely some changes kind of going on here. We've seen the income and the stimulus checks change. The minimum wage has been taken out. We now have the $400 per week unemployment money getting reduced to $300 per week, but also possibly being extended another month to the end of September instead of August, and possibly having the $10,000 of taxes not taxed on your unemployment money. So basically, yeah, things are literally changing by the minute. These unemployment things are not set in stone. It does look like the income qualifications are kind of for the stimulus checks are kind of like finalized. It looks like the minimum wage now is finalized also, unless they try to throw a last minute amendment in there to maybe do $10 an hour minimum wage. So I do think that would probably be a smart idea for the Democrats to try it now, but they might just punt that to basically doing it after they pass the third stimulus check package. Really, the main goal here is to just what do we need to do to get all the Republicans, or I'm sorry, all the Democrats to say yes? We might get a literally a Republican vote. Possibly Lisa Murkowski, Republican senator from Alaska, especially now that they're making these changes, lower unemployment bonus, lower stimulus checks for middle and higher income earners, and also taking out the minimum wage. We possibly could get a single Republican vote on this bill. And you never know, that one vote could be the difference, because remember, we need 50 votes to pass it. In the preliminary voting, we had all 50 Democrats say yes and all 50 Republicans say no. And then the tiebreaker went to the Vice President Kamala Harris. But that was the preliminary voting to proceed on basically with the debates, which is what they're doing right now. They're debating on the floor right now. They're going through the amendment process right now, which basically is as we've seen Republican Senator Ron Johnson say, who's quickly becoming a very unpopular person to who anybody wants to pass the stimulus bill. He's going to propose a whole bunch of amendments just to delay the bill. And they're doing that now. So that time is passing literally as we're speaking. They've finished reading the bill. Remember, he made the Senate read the 632-page bill, which will now be altered because they're literally changing a few things there. He made him read the bill, and now he's coming up with all these amendments in the Senate on which, honestly, here's what's going to happen with the amendments. The Democrats are just going to say no to them all. Maybe one of them happens, but like I'm talking about amendments that come from the Republican side, and the reason is because the Republicans, and it's not that I choosing one side or another here. I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. The Republicans are going to like propose like 50 amendments or who knows however many amendments, and the Democrats are just going to vote them down one by one. They're just going to get them done quick. And that's what we've seen before in the House of Representatives and the preliminary amendment process that happened in the Senate like last week or so. So yeah, they're just not going. It's just going to delay things even more. And really, the amendments that are happening are these changes that I just told you about. That's kind of bipartisan support, and the Democrats are doing that for don't really know the reason, but it's one of these couple reasons. One, they want to show some bipartisan support so that in future packages they say, "Oh no, we compromised with the Republicans. Remember, we did this, and this," which they are kind of doing. I mean, they're reducing the stimulus check qualifications, they're reducing the unemployment, they took the minimum wage out. So, I mean, if anything, it's moving towards more being Republican supported. Although I don't really expect. I think Republicans will vote against it on principle at this point, just to say no. Is probably what we will see. Maybe we'll see one Republican vote, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. But they're either doing this to show some Republican support, say, listen, we compromised, or they're doing it because they have to, because they need Senator Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema's vote. So they have to change these things because they're basically probably talking with them behind closed doors. And they're saying, yeah, we're not going to vote for it with the minimum wage in there. So, okay, well, that was taken out. We're not going to vote for it with $400 per week. Okay, so we'll compromise on that. So they need to get all the votes. So they're basically probably figuring out what they need to do to get this bill passed, and then basically let's get it passed. Let's let the dust settle, and then you move on to the next one and the next bill, and all these different things they want to pass in the future, which will either be bipartisan support or they'll try to pass it again through a reconciliation process, which again could be done through another package. They could be done through presidential executive orders. Chuck Schumer says that they can do student loan forgiveness simply through a presidential executive order. In fact, Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren actually said that President Trump could have did this. I remember reporting this to you before the year end last year, that President Donald Trump could have did that as one of the kind of like aces he could have pulled out of his pocket before the election to kind of garner some votes. But we know that he did not do that, and he didn't do really any executive orders right before the election. So I will keep you updated. They're going through the kind of the amendment process on the floor today. We got all these big changes coming and then the final vote. So the next two videos come out at 8 p.m. tonight and 11 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. It's completely free so you don't miss out on new videos. After subscribing, click the bell icon to all notifications to get notifications when we go live. And share this with your friends and family so that they know about the stimulus checks and all these other stimulus programs coming out. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, which me and my wife sell products on Amazon, and we also teach people how to do that. So click on one of these videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.